Okay, this is not going to be one of my regular typical unboxing videos of a video game controller. Or, no, I guess I shouldn't even say a video game controller. So this isn't going to be a typical regular unboxing video of mine, period. And why that is because, well, I already opened the controller because I needed to test it, and so you're gonna have to let me explain why I had to already open the controller to test it before even recording this video. Hey guys, what's up, what's happening? You got the King of Games 98 here, and today I am unboxing and reviewing Retrobit's 2.4 gigahertz wireless clear blue Sega Saturn controller. Now, just in the beginning of this video, I said this is not going to be a typical unboxing video of mine, and it's not. And I said because I had to open the controller to test it to make sure it worked. So in other words, I was kind of forced to open and try this controller before making this unboxing video. And I'm going to say it right now, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that I had to do that. I am sorry that this video is not going to be a typical regular unboxing video, but you know what? I still felt the need to make a video about this controller, and especially talking about this controller regardless. So I'm still going to call this an unboxing video, but this is going to be my unboxing / review video. Okay, so let me first now go into explanation why I had to open and try this controller before making this unboxing video on this controller. So, to my knowledge, I don't know of any official Sega-made or licensed Sega Saturn controllers that are wireless. Not too long ago, I heard the news that Retrobit was teaming up with Sega to make official Sega-licensed Sega Saturn controllers that were going to be wired and wireless. I was like, whoa! That's awesome! That's cool! And I was like, the fact that they're going to be officially licensed by Sega too. And then I read that they were going to be using the original controller molds to make these controllers. And I was like, dude, that's all I needed to hear. Shut up and take my money. Okay? Because, you know, for those of you who don't know me, when I was, well, no, I shouldn't start off like that. For the longest time, throughout me being a video game collector, I've been a huge diehard Sega fan. I still am today, so don't get the impression that I'm not. I still am today, but right now, along with still being a huge major Sega fan, I am also a really big SNK Neo Geo fan as well. I like both equally, but I might like, well, no. I like both equally. If you had to, you know, ask me to choose one, I really don't think I could be able to. So, yeah. I've really been a huge Sega fan for most of my life. And as far as the Sega Saturn goes, well, I really enjoy that console. You know, I know, not to get off topic, but I know, you know, when the topic of conversation always comes up, you know, most underrated video game consoles or most underrated video game console of all time, everyone says Sega Dreamcast. And I totally get that, and I agree with that. But then I feel like the Sega Saturn should also be included on those lists. And for the most part, I never see it make it on those lists. And I think that's a shame and sad, because the Sega Saturn was a great video game console for when it came out, 1994, 1995, correct me if I'm wrong. It just did not sell well because the marketing for it was really bad. And I read online and watched videos that apparently only certain stores carried and sold the console. So that basically did it in and killed it and made it not accessible. Yeah, not accessible to buy and own one back then. So I really like the Sega Saturn. I think it's a great console. I think it has a lot of hidden gem games on it, and most importantly, I love the Japan import game collecting scene for Sega Saturn. I think it's great. Anyway, kind of got a little off topic there. So, when it comes to controllers for Sega Saturn, I currently own 4 different Sega Saturn controllers, and they're all wired. The King, I'm sure you're probably saying to yourself or asking yourself right now, why do you own 4 different Sega Saturn controllers when you only own one Sega Saturn console? And on a single Sega Saturn console, you can only have up to 2 controllers per console. Well, that is a very good question. I'm so glad you asked. My answer to that question would be because you rarely see Sega Saturn controllers, and I feel like they are so hard to find nowadays. And on top of that, 3 of the 4 controllers I own are official Sega brand wired Sega Saturn controllers. The third is a third-party one, but it's still really cool. That's why I'm keeping that one. So, on top of that, finding official OEM Sega brand Sega Saturn controllers, even today, I feel like is very hard to find. And on top of that, if you do find them, I believe they are usually pretty expensive to buy. So, in other words, what I'm getting at is, basically, when I saw or came across a Sega Saturn controller, I just freaking bought it. You know, I didn't even question it. I didn't even, I just whipped out the cash and bought it. So, that is why I currently own 4 different wired Sega Saturn controllers for my Sega Saturn. So now, getting back to this. I was very hyped when Retrobit and Sega announced this. I was, like I said, I was shut up and take my money. But, not too long after these controllers had come out, I started hearing mixed things and reviews about them. And one of which was from a buddy of mine who goes by Ray Commend on YouTube. And he bought actually this same exact clear blue Sega 2.4 gigahertz wireless Sega Saturn controller, and he did his own unboxing and review video of this exact controller. Now, since I am shouting him out, Ray, I am going to link his video of his unboxing and review video of this controller in the corner here. And then on top of that, at the end of this video, I'm going to put a link to his channel because I freaking love him. He is an awesome dude. He's helped me out with my Retron 5, fixing it. If you saw that, my video, I broke my Retron 5 by updating it. Yeah, that was all thanks to him for helping me fix it. So, huge shout out to Ray. Thank you again, dude. I'm internally grateful. I can't thank you enough. So, again, I'm going to link his video in the corner there, and I'm going to put a link to his video and I'm going to put a link to his channel at the end of this video, so please, if you could, check him out. If you like his content, subscribe. If not, that's okay too. Anywho, like I said, I was really curious about this controller, and not too long after it came out, I heard some mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people hate it. Unfortunately, in the case of Ray's controller, it was defective, brand new out of the box. Two things happened with his controller. The C button got stuck in the down position, making it kind of able to press down on the button, but kind of not. And then on top of that, the official Sega Saturn adapter that is included with this controller, his just straight up died. The receiver adapter, whatever you want to call it, it died, making him not able to use this controller on an original Sega Saturn console, which that is one of the purposes that this controller is intended to be used on. So, with his Sega Saturn receiver just straight up dying on him, he wasn't able to use this controller on his Sega Saturn console, which sucks because, again, that's one of the reasons why you would have bought this controller in the first place. That is legitimately the reason why I bought this controller in the first place. So, you know, again, I'm not going to talk too much about Ray's video. I'm going to link it in the top right-hand corner. Go check it out for yourself. Again, support him, check out his channel, and all that fun stuff. So, So now you're probably asking yourself, so then why did you buy this controller? After you blatantly knew that there was some problems, issues with it, you know, Ray's video with it. And then on top of that, I talked to a guy on Facebook because he brought up this controller and I commented to him saying, hey, I just got the clear blue one. And, you know, then he asked me, did you get the 2.4 gigahertz version or the Bluetooth version? I told him 2.4 gigahertz. And, you know, I'm really glad that I said something to this dude because he told me about some other problems this controller was having. Like, I'm pretty sure he said that for whatever reason, he experienced that he wasn't even able to connect the controller to one of the receivers that is included with this controller. It comes with two different ones, in case you didn't know. And on top of that, I think there was a few other issues, problems that he mentioned that I don't happen to remember right now off the top of my head. But anyway, so, you know, it was good that I talked to this dude about it because then he told me about some stuff. Well, told me about some issues this controller had. Now, I'm sure you're still saying to yourself, but wait, so going into buying this controller, you knew there was some issues and problems this controller had, so then why did you still buy one? Well, the fact of the matter is, like I told you guys earlier in this video, I currently own 4 different wired Sega Saturn controllers. Now, keyword is they're all wired. I don't own a single wireless controller for my Sega Saturn. So still, the thought of that existing and the thought of this existing and the fact that it's officially licensed by Sega and the controller uses an original controller's mold for this controller just had me sold. It really did. So, not this past Monday, but Monday of last week, when I was hanging out with my friend Tyler, aka Mr. Game & Squatch, we went to Next Level Video Games in Blackwood, New Jersey, which is my favorite small business retro video game store to go to in New Jersey. I know the owner, Nick, pretty well. He's an awesome stand-up guy, and I've never had any problems with buying from him that he wasn't able to fix or resolve. So, huge shout out to Nick at Next Level. If you live in New Jersey, you got to go check him out. Anyway, we visited Nick's store Monday of last week when it officially reopened for the first time, and I purchased this controller from him for $34.99. So, essentially $35. Now, did I think that was too much for this controller? No. In that amount, paying that amount for a controller in my mind, on the range from way too cheap to way too expensive. I thought it was just in the middle. It wasn't too cheap, but it wasn't too expensive. It was literally just right in the middle to me. So I thought I was still, for what I paid for it, I was still getting a good quality made controller. And after talking to the guy that I mentioned on Facebook, I got really worried and concerned about my controller, and that is why I opened this controller to try it before making this unboxing review video on this controller. So that is why I opened and tested this controller before making this unboxing review video on this controller. So now I hope you guys can understand why I did what I did and can forgive me for that. And now, without further ado, I am going to get into the actual unboxing part of this video. So on the front here, we have the Sega Saturn word logo, the actual Sega Saturn logo, which I love that, by the way. 8-button arcade pad, 2.4 gigahertz wireless. I love how this controller looks. So for those of you who don't know, blue is my favorite color. And as soon as I saw that this wireless Sega Saturn controller came in blue, and not only that, it's a clear see-through blue, I was like, dude, sold. Like, no questions asked, sold. Then over here, we have includes original port and USB receivers. That's these two. This is the original Sega Saturn port receiver, and that is the USB receiver. And then it comes with a deluxe storage case, which is actually really cool. I really dig that. Clear blue, compatible with Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis Mini, PC, Mac, PlayStation 3, and Switch. This is the front of the box. Then we have the right side of the box. Or no, excuse me, left side. Left side of the box. I definitely know my right from my left. The back of the box, which reads, no longer be tethered to your console. The officially licensed Sega Saturn controller gets re-engineered as a 2.4 gigahertz wireless controller and carries along its original layout and form. This 2.4 gigahertz controller includes both original and USB port wireless receivers for use across many consoles and platforms, and an exclusive Sega case for all the extras. With a rechargeable battery that lasts up to 30 hours, game to the fullest degree for extended durations. Wow. Okay. So that also helped sell me on this, and the fact that the battery in this wireless controller lasts up to 30 hours. That's freaking awesome. And then, you know, in English, we have some of the features of it, which I'm not going to go over, but if you want to pause this video at any time, you can and read them yourself. Okay, so that's the back of the box. We have the left side of the box. We have the top, little hang tab, and the bottom. Okay, so on the left side of the box, I opened the seal tab to open it. So on the right side of the box, I left the seal tab still on it, so to make this somewhat of an unboxing video, because I'm sure people are going to be like in the comments section, oh no, this wasn't technically an unboxing video because you already opened it. Yeah, well, suck it. I'm still calling it an unboxing video. So we are going to open and break the seal on the right side of the box, because I don't really think I need to keep that still sealed. I'm obviously going to keep the box for this controller because I love it, but, you know, I'm going to keep the controller in its box, so I don't really see the point in leaving the seals still intact on both sides of the box when I'm going to be using this controller. Okay, seal sticker is off, so we're going to open it from this side. Okay. So the first thing you see when you open is the deluxe carrying case that is included with the controller, and I gotta hand it to Retrobit. That was really cool of them to include an actual carrying case for this controller. for the, you know, 35 bucks that I spent on it. Okay, so this is exactly how it was when I opened this controller brand new out of the box. Only difference is there was a plastic cellophane wrap all on the covering the whole top of the controller carrying case that I took off. So other than that, you are still seeing how it looked basically when it was brand new when I opened it for the first time. So this is the carrying case for the controller. I love it. It's very nice. This says I heart and then something in Japanese. Apparently that reads I love retro. Very cool. Has the Retrobit logo there. This is the button to press to open it. And, you know, it's kind of basic, but I still think it was really nice that they included that with the controller. Okay, voila. So that opens up. This is the actual controller itself. And I freaking love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, of course, I love it even more because it happens to be blue. But I love this controller. I absolutely love it. The shape mold of the controller is identical to that original 6-button Sega Saturn controller. And Sega made Sega made 3 different models of the Saturn controller. This one, there was more of like an octagonal looking one. And then there was the 3D controller, which I don't think was used for... I don't think the 3D controller was supported with all games. I know for a fact it was used for the Nights in the Dreams game on Sega Saturn, and I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, when that controller was new back in the day, I think the Nights into Dreams game, I'm pretty sure was bundled with the Saturn 3D controller. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, so this is the front of the controller. We have the left side. We have the back. We have the right side, bottom, and top. So that's the actual controller. Then, of course, you'll see this is the original Sega Saturn port receiver and then the USB receiver. Then if you take this out, you see beneath that an included micro USB charging cord to charge the controller, because that is what it takes, a micro USB charging cord, not a USB Type-C, which I was perfectly okay with, you know, whatever. Some companies like using the latest technology, some don't, or just feel it easier to revert back to a little bit older, whatever, that's fine. Thank you for your purchase and the instruction manual. And that is basically everything that was included with this controller. Now, on top of me knowing and hearing the problems this controller had, on top of that, I personally do not like the Retrobit company. I have had my own personal experiences and dealings with them. And when I say that, I mean from my own personal experience that years ago I bought their Retrobit RES console, Retro Entertainment System, and it was basically that really small, tiny box. I shouldn't say it like that. Basically, it was that really small, square NES top loader console. It was silver and black, and I bought it new off of eBay for like 20 bucks. It lasted maybe a few months, and then basically stopped working. Now, ever since then, I have looked at that company and their products a little differently, but is that the only reason I'm basing that off of? Is that the only experience that I have with them that I'm basing that off of? No. And I'm sure you're probably saying to yourself, well, if you bought it new for 20 bucks, what did you expect? And that is very true. That's a true statement. I didn't expect it to last forever. Basically, I bought it as a temporary NES console to play my NES games on, because at the time I only owned my original toaster loading model NES, which, fuck that 72-pin connector, excuse my French, but me and my dad had to take that apart about 3 or 4 times and clean it and swapping out 72-pin connectors, and it just got to the point where it was like, this is not worth it. This is way too hard just to play NES games on it. So that was my temporary NES console, and after that thing crapped out on me, then my dad, for my birthday one year, bought me my Retron 5, and I've been using my Retron 5 ever since then. Never had a problem with it. Oh, until I tried updating the firmware on it, then I did. But aside from that, I've never had a problem with that console. I still have the same one and use the same one to this day. So yeah, after buying Retrobit's Retro Entertainment System NES top loader console, I've really looked and viewed at the company and that company's products differently, and I was very sketchy and hesitant, if you will, to buy any more of their products. So that is why I was a little worried and nervous about buying this controller too, on top of knowing what I did know from Ray's video, excuse me, and from hearing about other reviews online from other people. I was very skeptical, and I guess you could say even a tad bit worried about buying this controller. Now, before I get any further in talking about this controller, I actually have one of my 4-wired Sega Saturn controllers with me right here that I am going to show as how identical this controller is to an original OEM Sega brand Sega Saturn controller. Just for a comparison, for those who don't know what an original Sega Saturn controller looks like. Okay, so this is one of the 4 wired Sega Saturn controllers I own, like I just said, and to do a side-by-side comparison between the wireless one and an original wired one, like, they're damn near identical. Seriously. The Retrobit wireless one, and compared to an original Sega brand wired Saturn controller, they're damn near identical. The only difference between these two controllers is the original wired Saturn controller did not have the home, or wait, which one? Yeah, did not have a home and select buttons right there, which this is a home button and that's a select button. This did not have that, and then on top of that, it does not have the Sega Saturn Word logo and the Saturn logo right there, and instead on the wireless one, it just has the Sega Word logo right there. So other than those two differences, these controllers are damn near identical. And I love that for that reason. That is why I wanted to buy one of these Retrobit wireless Sega Saturn controllers, because I love the feel of the original wired Sega Saturn controller, and you know, just the thought of this existing and it's an original controller mold of that controller, but just wireless, it just blew my freaking mind, and I was like, dude, that's awesome. I want one. I want to at least buy one just to try it, experience it for myself, see how it is. So now that I did that side-by-side comparison, now I'm going to actually get into probably the most important part of this video, my thoughts, feelings, and opinions about this controller. Now, like I stated, going into buying this controller, I knew it had issues and problems, and it's made by Retrobit, which I'm not a very big fan of, but I still wanted to buy one just to at least try it and experience it, see how it was. Now, unlike Ray's controller that he bought, which was defective, brand new out of the box, mine was not. My wireless 2.4 gigahertz Sega Saturn controller works perfectly. I mean perfectly. Absolutely fluid. There is not a single thing wrong with this controller brand new out of the box, which in reality there shouldn't be. But it's sad that we have to even talk about that and go there. But I must have gotten the second batch of controllers that when I mentioned that guy that I talked to on Facebook. He said that the first batch of controllers was completely messed up and defective, brand new out of the box. But apparently a lot of people bought these and bitched and complained to Retrobit, which I of course would have too, but I didn't have to because this worked perfectly for me. That Retrobit sent out a second batch of these controllers that supposedly fixed all issues or all known issues this controller was having. And so the only thing I can assume is this 2.4 gigahertz wireless Sega Saturn controller I bought must have been a second batch wireless Sega Saturn controller, because this thing worked beautifully and perfectly brand new out of the box. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Now, like I showed and mentioned, this wireless controller comes with two different types of receivers to be able to use this specific wireless controller on different consoles, which I love the fact that Retrobit did that. I freaking love that. Now, as I stated, and I'm pretty sure made pretty clear, I bought this controller solely because it is a wireless controller for the Sega Saturn that is officially licensed by Sega and is identical to an original wired Sega Saturn controller. So I primarily bought and wanted this controller to be able to have a wireless controller to be able to use and play on my Sega Saturn console. So when I first opened this and tested the controller, you're damn right, that is what I did. I got out my Model 1 Sega Saturn console. I hooked it up to my living room TV. I looked at the instructions, saw how to pair it, and I'm not going to lie, at first I had a little bit of a hard time pairing the controller, but then after figuring out that you're supposed to press all the buttons at once in sync, the controller synced right up to the receiver and it worked perfectly. I mean, this controller did not skip a freaking beat. It was completely responsive and fluid with every single button I pressed on that controller. That's how freaking good this controller works. And, you know, for the record, and I know some people are probably going to get a little turned off by me saying this, I did not actually play a game on my Sega Saturn to test this controller out with. So I didn't actually play a game while using this Sega Saturn controller to test it out on. No, instead I kind of cheated and just stayed on the Saturn's home main menu screen and just did every button interaction that I could while on the main menu screen, because I kind of didn't really feel like playing a game. So, and I know some people are probably going to give me crap about that and get mad at me. You know what? That's fine. You're entitled to that. That's your opinion. But I just wanted quick and easy, okay? And so that's why I did what I did. But without even testing it out by playing a game with it, it was perfect. So, what are my final thoughts and feelings on this controller? And most importantly, would I recommend it? Well, I love this controller. I love this controller because it's blue, because it's an original shell mold of an original wired Sega Saturn controller. And, you know, gripping it in my hands, it feels great. I love the freaking button layout. It just feels so good and ergonomic in my hands. It's very comfortable. I love it. That is why I bought this controller. Even going into knowing all the issues and problems it has with it brand new out of the box. So I am very happy and glad, and I love my wireless Retrobit brand Sega Saturn controller, but I can't really say I would recommend buying this controller to anyone else because of all the known issues and problems this controller has. So I'm going to leave you guys and end this video with this. Would I recommend this controller? No. But if you feel like taking a chance and a risk and don't mind spending, the money, maybe it's $35, maybe it's more, and you're okay with spending that money and it might turn out to be a piece of crap, go for it. But I would be very hesitant on telling someone to, oh yeah, definitely buy that controller. I would tell them, all the known issues and problems it's had with it. I would say look it up online, look up reviews, do your homework, do your research on this controller before running right out and buying one. Wow, I've really been talking for a long time now. Okay, guys, so that is how I'm going to leave you with this video. This has been my Retrobit 2.4 gigahertz wireless clear blue Sega Saturn controller. I hope you guys did really enjoy this video, and I'm sorry for talking your ears off as long as I have been, but I just really hope you guys have enjoyed and appreciated this long, in-depth review video of this controller, and that it helps someone, anyone, with this controller, and giving it a fair and honest review before someone else goes right out to a store and buys one, or, looks online and goes to buy one online. So that is really my main reason, I guess, if you will, in making this video. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments section, did you buy one of these Retrobit wireless Sega Saturn controllers when they first came out? If so, did you have any problems with this controller brand new out of the box? If so, I would love to hear them in the comments section down below. And like I said, I'm going to link Ray's video at the end of this video. And I'm also going to put in the notification bar a link to his controller unboxing and review video as well. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.